how are you? I hope you're doing well. I wanted to update you about the last episode. It came out late, a week late, because my podcast provider, the service that I use to distribute the podcast across platforms, there was an issue with it, a technical issue that they were working with it. They did a great job. It's Buzzsprout that I use. They did a great job at fixing it. They took some time, so definitely I was in a fix. I couldn't I couldn't really upload the episode, nor could I inform you because my system was blocked. For those of you who do follow me on Instagram, there was an update. For those of you who exclusively follow me via the podcast, there wasn't an update. So here's my apology for a week late episode, but we are back on track and everything is fixed now. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well in your pregnancy, in whichever part of your journey you are trying to conceive, wherever you are in this journey that brought you to this podcast. What am I doing these days? There was a water birth recently that I so dearly wanted to share with you. This water birth happened with a mum who had a big fibroid, the size of an orange, but it minded its own business. But it minded its own business, which is so wise of the body because body most of the times takes care of itself, and so it happened in this case. Um, the body knows what it has and it works around it, and most of the times, especially with birth, it takes care of itself because nature wants evolution to continue. Alongside about fibroids are common in women. Some specific fibroids are documented to cause issues. This was significant in size to think of for that matter. But it did not at all cause any issues. This was an undisturbed, unmedicated water birth. Baby came in the waters and was picked up and handed over to the mother. Mom had a long tear, but not to scare you, it was a superficial tear, meaning it was only on the skin and it did not involve the muscles. Mother did not feel much discomfort with it postpartum, so that's good news. I am yet to document I am yet to document her story. I do document all the births that I support in all capacities, and they go into my journal, which is called the birth stories, with the pictures that mom gave me permission to use and paste for memories when I'm significantly old and not doing much work. Also, it will be a great memory for my daughter. So I'm yet to document this one. Her postpartum was amazing. And part of the reason why we have this episode today is her postpartum journey. It stuck with me. It was amazing. Her husband cooks delicious meals. I was served a yummy khichdi postpartum. Her mother had come in to support her. And one of the very important things that I noticed in their relationship, which is why we have this episode today, was that there was mutual respect and a very light space, which was not burdensome when I say light, for different opinions. Meaning, if the mom had a different opinion about a situation, she held space, the daughter held space for that. When the daughter had a different opinion from her mother, the mother held space for that. And it was so light, there was no pressure. There was an ease about it, like the ease that there is in Friends. And if the mother was and eventually, the mother who gave birth was followed for the most part in the family, which was beautiful and empowering to witness. Also, I want to highlight here in bold, this is very different from what I witness with many mums in Indian families, be it the mother or the mother in law, or sometimes in general, the rest of the family, the other women, and in fact, even men in the family. It becomes a competition, especially among women, as to who is right and who has catered to more children, indicating who has more expertise. There is no space for who just gave birth and what do they want? What does their intuition say? What do they want to do with their babies, which is such a primal thing. Many of these women that I work closely with during pregnancy And I do meet because we do have antenatal visits, their classes, their in person classes. Um, so I do meet families uh, as well as. So I do meet families even as a traditional doula. We have sessions in person. The differences are visible and understood and worked with. I coach women essentially on not to shove these differences under the carpet in pregnancy because they will flare up. They will flare up like a monster in postpartum. Many of my moms who come for individual lactation consultations share how they are not just judged but compared and spoken down to. These are all the reasons that we have. These are all the reasons that we have today's episode, which is 5 ways you can make your postpartum journey smoother and acknowledge the differences that exist and work with them already. And what's the role of your partner in that? So that's about this episode. Now, to give you an example, imagine this. The client said to me, ये 2 रातों से सो नहीं रही है ठीक से, बार बार दूध मांगती है, कहीं मेरा दूध कम तो नहीं हो रहा. Client said to me, ये 2 रातों से सो नहीं रही है ठीक से, बार बार दूध मांगती है, कहीं मेरा दूध कम तो नहीं हो रहा. Me, what exactly do you see कि आपको लगता है कि उसकी वजह से your milk supply has reduced. Client, नहीं यार सच तो कुछ भी नहीं है, बट मम्मा बोलती रहती हैं तेरा दूध नहीं आता, तेरा दूध कम हो गया है, बहुत प्रेशर पड़ता है. This is a very common conversation that I have with moms who are under the problem because somebody created the problem for them. They are so disconnected with their intuition now because they have somebody constantly telling them what to do and what not to do. And there is so much pressure on following someone else that there is very little space for them to connect with themselves and really see whether there's a problem or not. Many of these women inherently know that there is no problem, but they need me to work with them and help them also navigate these families. Not just these. I also want to share with you that I was casually talking to a neighbor these days, and this is an elderly woman. And I was checking her on her grandson. We were walking in the park, and her mother had gone to her mother's place, that is the maternal parents' home, Nani ka ghar. So because it's holidays, and the son had also gone. Son plays with my daughter, so I was checking on him. So she said, yeah, they've gone. And I was like, wonderful, that's lovely. And I smiled. She further started sharing, the mother-in-law to this woman, that her son has a flight back to pick them up in 2 days. I was like, lovely, I did not know that there's a different city that she comes from. Which city is it? And auntie said, Mumbai. I was like, wow, that's lovely. Mumbai is a different city. And before I could continue, she intervened. I wanted to continue admiring how simple and rooted this place is, Mumbai. I have a lot of friends from there. But before I could complete, she said, हाँ उनका ऐसा ही है, बहुत अलग लोग हैं. मैंने तो अपने बेटे को कह दिया है कि हमारा स्टेटस हम कम नहीं कर सकते उनकी तरह. उनको अपने हिसाब से रहने दो, हम अपना स्टेटस ऊपर रखेंगे, हम क्यों कम करें. My smile vanished. I nodded and left. I was aghast. It was not about Mumbai. It was about the city her daughter-in-law came from, and the unnecessary comparison with low self-esteem and poor capability to embrace differences. And herein, authority was being asserted. The differences were not being cherished for how much difference the baby would be able to see and know that there's different people in different cities live differently and there's beauty to it. And it's very common. I talk to a lot of elderly women, and I see this common bias that exists, might even exist in daughter-in-laws and daughters, and I do not deny that. It does exist, but I think it exists even more with the previous generation because there's a lack of self-esteem because they weren't given the opportunity to have a bigger exposure. And since they were judged every moment, it becomes second nature to judge another somebody. And our think about it, our social media, our um, the television series that used to come really just cemented the idea that the daughter-in-law is going to be bad or the mother-in-law is going to be bad. And that's how we function in our subconscious. So anybody that tells me if you are the kind of content you consume, whether it's for entertainment, whether it's movies, whether it's TV series, it does impact you. It absolutely impacts your subconscious and it does show up in your life unless you're really aware. And if you're very aware, most of us would not even give in to these kind of content. And because a lot of our families, the Indian traditional families, saw a lot of Ekta Kapoor series, I'm sure that definitely did percolate. And there's little emotional maturity or understanding to work on these differences and see them in better light and hold space, which is so beautiful in this family that I just supported. And I want you to know, if you are a pregnant mother listening to this episode right now, or a father to be, this is a crucial time to build a real nest together and talk out in pregnancy among in between you what suits you as a family unit. And family unit meaning the husband, the wife, and the baby to be. Just the three of you. That's the immediate family unit that you are. I do extensive work with parents in this area, and today we're going to share 5 ways to support postpartum better and how partners can help, meaning the husbands. Now I've already explained why postpartum needs attention. It was a lot of bickering, but that's the reality, and that's the reality I work with. Part of my job is mostly counseling because for a lot of lactation consultations, there's lack of education. Even with postpartum support, there's lack of education and there's a lot of confusion. And that's what I work with, counseling the parents, the family. And in India, cultural rituals do exist, and I applaud the beauty we have there and the support we have there. But emotional and functional care is often missing. Medical systems discharge too early, families expect too much, and the mother does not get the continuity of care, the mother who gave birth, that she needs, which means someone to check up on her through and through the first 6 weeks, the first 40 days postpartum, that someone comes in, listens to her problems, emotional, the roller coaster ride, the tears, the pressure she has, and then give her ways that she can constructively work on it alongside the technical issues of low milk supply, the latching, the stitches, the healing, the food, etc., etc. Massages, in fact. So my doula package covers complete postpartum care with home visits. First three visits in 1 week, then 7th day, then 14th, and they're on the 40th day. Community care is at the base of what I work with, and I think that's what women need the most. And this can be imbibed in any care, even in the medical, if the awareness really comes and they want to change the system. But it's hard to change a system that has been existent for such a long time. It's easy for me. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's a choice for me as an individual. And therein it's easier because I do not need to take anybody's permission. I work the way I like to. And I think it serves my parents the best. Now, it's very important to understand what's postpartum. It's not just a recovery period. For you, mom, especially, it's not just a recovery period, it's a rebirth for you. Let's talk about how we can care for you better. The first thing that you should do is plan for postpartum. Prepare for birth. Prepare for a more physiological birth experience. And choose a place that supports your vision of birth. Often women with poor and unheld birth experiences enter postpartum with a wounded rage, which makes the journey, with all its complexities, especially in the Indian households, even more difficult. Prepare with your partner so he is aware of the challenges that you will face and the the way things work and how you and your body function as a woman, how you desire your postpartum to be, what rituals you are okay with, what you wish to do, and how you wish to take things forward. Say breastfeeding versus formula or a mixed feed. What do you wish to do? You can also enroll your mother in law and mother in classes. I have, in certain cases, offered to have a class with the family because they will believe an expert over their children, which is just, again, a very subconscious thing. Partners, for you, this is the time for you. This is the show that belongs to you now, the postpartum period. She made a human being, she birthed it. Now it's your turn to make the environment respectful for her and respect for how she desires to parent or carry on postpartum. Visitors or no visitors. She should not have to fight for the minuscule of things just to be the way she wants to be and survive, which is a human need. No animal goes back to its parents for permission to live a certain way. It's a very primal, instinctive life. And so everybody should have the space to follow what's right for them. And let's trust our children to be able to make decisions that incorporates the parents. Children do. Let's give them the space without the blaming and the shaming. Lay down, women, with your partners, what things you feel you need a free hand on and what things you feel will be a matter of conflict. How your partner can step up and make a plan now together, the two of you, to keep everybody aligned with minimal friction. Say, for example, you know formula is pressed in your family and everybody has formula fed. And maybe there's a way they do it. Once a day in the family is how everybody just gives formula because that's what everybody thinks is right. But you want to exclusively breastfeed or at least try. Now decide, the two of you, how you will communicate this to your parents with an open space that for you, the partner, you should be the one making the communication or leading the communication or initiating it because it's your parents. She will always be an outsider. That's the reality. I've been married for 8-9 years and that's the reality. And I do have a very supportive space with in-laws, but there's definitely a lot of conflicts that we've navigated. So you as a partner, husband, you will lead this. You will communicate this to your parents with an open space that if she decides later, even if she wants to exclusively breastfeed, to add supplemental feed basis her circumstances, then it's her choice. This should set things right in the first place and prevent the blame that comes from elders later in taunts and skirms and discussions with other family members that the daughter did not listen to them earlier and now her life has taught her a lesson. This is abuse, emotional abuse. Get this straight and make this a priority. Don't shove this under the carpet thinking that, oh, this is common. What is common may also not be right. And you can make it right for your children and for your wife. There should be no place for this. But unfortunately, this is common beyond belief, like I just said. So definitely sit with all these things. Talk about this with your partners. Again, you may need to sit again and again as your life progresses postpartum and rediscuss what you decided earlier. The strategies may be different now. Now you've arrived at a different time in postpartum and you need a new way to deal with things. Be open for discussions as a couple for life. Now you have a child. Now the second way for you to smoothen postpartum is prioritize warmth, rest, and nutrition. Indian families help a great deal in this in terms of cooking. But you as a couple can also plan what all you wish to include in your postpartum food, the dishes, the laddus, any other care modality you'd like to explore. Herbal baths is a hit with my mums. Plan ahead. Remember, rest is really important in postpartum. Fathers, rest is really important. A 40-day rest period is not even essential for the mother. I mean, it's not just essential for the mother, but it's very, very essential for the baby as well. Traditionally, women and baby were secluded in India and were allowed no visitors. Food was served. It was a time for the woman and the baby, the mother and the baby, to bond. It was sensible in terms of reducing infections as well. If the woman does not want elaborate rituals or guests for elaborate dinners in the house where the baby has just been born, because it rightfully interferes with her sleep and overstimulates the baby. Acknowledge and respect this. This is for you, partners, and speak to your family about it beforehand. Partners, you can also arrange help for this period. Alongside, learn how to tie a nappy, bathe the baby. Men enjoy it, and you do enjoy it. And women incorporate men, your husbands in it. Trust them. Please trust them. They might falter a few times, but do a great job. They're also new to this. They're also learning all these things. If they're showing interest, don't tell them you did this so bad. I do it better. It's not a competition. You guys are teamwork. You'll have to let your partners who've not had a good example in their fathers or fathers, grandfathers, they are trying. Give them a chance. That's the only way you two grow together. There is no competition between you. Now, third way you can make it better. Seek early lactation support. Now, I cannot recommend this enough. In fact, prepare for breastfeeding and postpartum. In pregnancy itself, many educators offer standalone preparatory classes for breastfeeding and postpartum. I do private one-to-one, which includes 2 weeks of postpartum support. Continuity of care. Community care is at the center of what I do. You mamas, this will give you a base to start on. And if you need help, there is someone to answer your questions. You can also hire a lactation consultant for postpartum exclusively and not take any classes before. But the reason I say prepare yourself earlier is because postpartum is a hard time to learn. When you have a baby to feed, there is a lot to understand about baby cues, hunger, sleep patterns, and needs. Now, when you have a baby and you need to do the job quick, it can get really overwhelming, and it will lengthen the time you need to fix the issues. When you know about things already and have an idea, you'll be calmer. You'll know that there's a way you can handle this. This can be solved. You're less scared. You're quick to try. You have faith, and it works better for you. Also, you may already have a few ways you can work on a situation, and then you just need somebody's support to say, yeah, this is okay. Yeah, you may also do this, remind you, or give you a few other options to explore. My recommendation, prepare for breastfeeding and have an independent counselor with you for the first 2 weeks, because, word of caution, do not rely on hospital lactation counselors. Many of them are nurses trained with very little knowledge or really experience with breastfeeding or the nuanced baby period. They come with their own cultural bias, and they have more of it and often complicate the cases before they come to me. So I will highly recommend go with an individual person you trust, you align with, you genuinely feel you want to work with. Listen to your intuition. Be self-directed. Yeah. Now, the fourth way you can make it better. Partners, again, there's so much work for you to do in here. Emotional check-ins. Check on your wife. She made a baby, she birthed a baby. Now she's also nursing the baby. She's used her body in all the possible magical ways possible. She is making milk. It's magic. What's your job now? Definitely there's a role of partners, and there is definitely a role of partners in the animal world. Birds make the nest together, and then men bring food. and feed the babies while the woman is resting and taking care of the children. Emotional check ins are so important. Mums, for you, name your feelings. Name them. Don't be scared to take up space. Sometimes women don't share what they're feeling because they think it's too much, or they're overreacting, or they are overfeeling. Nobody overreacts or overfeels. Whatever we are feeling is very genuine, and there is space for that. Allow yourself to feel. Don't parent yourself down to toughen up. This is the most vulnerable time for you. It's not the time for you to toughen up. You don't have the resources to, trust me. It does not help. And it does not help your situation with your partner, your family, and it does affect your milk supply and how you look back at your postpartum. We are all emotional beings, and our emotions matter because they affect your physicality, how you recover, and it will pile up. So speak up, trust your feelings, express what you're feeling by the name and without the guilt. Anger, sadness, overwhelm, frustration, unsupported. Share it with your close circle and partner. To share my vulnerable moments with you, I remember I had extreme postpartum rage. Some days, honestly, I wanted to throw my daughter back on the bed. It was that bad. And I called myself an animal because I did not resonate with the person I was becoming in postpartum. And primarily, this was because I had a bad birth experience. I had a very poor birth experience, and I was cheated. And that trauma I carried, that rage, that wound I carried in postpartum, which is why the first point was prepare for your birth properly. And so you're preparing for your postpartum. I was so angry. This rage was definitely, like I said, result of being cheated in birth. I felt my whole identity came crashing down. It wasn't about surgery. If it would have been needed and well explained to me without the lies, the cheating, I would have embraced it with all my heart. Every woman can embrace it. So let's again stop infantilizing women and telling them, oh, you should just agree to your surgery. How much work did you do as a provider to explain to her that she needed it? If she feels bad, there is a space for that. She wanted something else, she got something else. Give her the space and time to heal emotionally. Medical science is really losing its footing on the emotional side of things, which is the physical side of things. And very soon we'll see how all this impacts women and women demand better. And they already are. And they already are. My doctor, thankfully, also confessed it to me. So I was sure what I was feeling. I was in chaos and needed therapy. And it took me time to acknowledge it. But for you, my feedback would be acknowledge your emotions and seek help if you need. Partners, like I said, check in on your wife daily, emotionally. Write a few questions that you can remember if this doesn't come naturally to you. A question can be, how are you doing today? Ask without judgment and hear them. How was your day? Do you need help with something? Or just bring food. Hold the baby. Hold her hand. If you cannot say anything, or it can happen that because we live together as couples, certain things can trigger the woman while it's being done very unintentionally by the man. He just wants to do better, but he gets a very poor response and holds himself back. So in situations like these, if you think that speaking is not helping you, hug her, hold her hand. Don't use language of the words. Use language that can work for you both. Fifth and last point, we are towards the end of our episode. Women, focus on bonding with your baby. You're building a new relationship, and it's a relationship that you'll nurture for life. Don't think of this as a performance. Despite the pressure around you, it's not a performance. Yes, people can be judging you. Your husband needs to protect you. However, it works for you. And no societal pressure. Make sure, husbands, on her to bounce back to the weight, to the household chores. Women, you do not have to conform to household structure anymore. So there's a way Indian households work. The morning times, the times that the food is cooked, the time that things are served. You may have a different, your responsibilities have changed now. You have a human being and you have to align with that person. Many women in the family structures, when they have elders, the management holds on to the structure. And women find it really, really hard to change. And it doesn't work for them, but they still keep doing it, keep abiding by the structure because otherwise they'll be judged. Sometimes we don't even realize we are conforming to the structure until it's too late. So I'm telling you this out of experience. If the household structure of getting up, working, doesn't work for you, even months down postpartum, you can mold things according to your needs. Speak up. I We can cook food an hour later, an hour earlier. However, you want to work according to your needs. You are a real human occupying and needing space in this family. You do deserve it. Restoring joy in simply being with the baby, and partners reinforce that being is greater than doing. Don't do much, just be. Women, just be. If you feel like doing it, do it. If you don't feel like doing it, take some space. You are recovering. You made a baby. Now, these were the 5 points that we discussed. So I'll repeat them in brief, although I kept repeating myself all through. Preparation for postpartum to avoid too many unknowns and the fear that it brings. Prioritizing nurturing yourself. Partner support in everything, including mediating with the family for your needs. Catering to emotional needs and focusing on being without social pressure. Now, while I spoke about so many challenges of the postpartum, and I do want to reassure you at this time, when we're concluding the episode, that while postpartum can look like a tough journey, it can be both tough and enjoyable. I enjoyed my postpartum while it was extremely tough because I was going through a mental breakdown. I needed help, and I did. Thankfully, my husband recognized more than me, and he pushed me to take help because I was too proud to need any emotional help. And it can be tough and enjoyable, just like a vacation, where you're tired, but it's rewarding. Like many other women who hold space for each other, if we hold each other, you and your circle and me, we can do it too, despite the hardships. We can cherish the beauty in all of this. Remember, there is no perfect way to do postpartum, but care, presence, and planning goes a long, long way. If this struck a chord with you, I invite you, my mamas, to do the following things. Share this episode with a parent to me or partner or in your circle if you think this can help them. I invite you to join my free WhatsApp community for a tribe you've been looking for. Send a message from my website, www.bardagni.com. I'll be happy to have you in my community and I'll be happy to help you in there. It's a free space. You can rate or review this podcast if it speaks to you. Beyond measure, you can donate to this as well. From the show notes, there's a link for both Indian and international audience. Now, here's an activity that I want you to do, mums, and even fathers, if you're listening to this. Reflect or journal in your diary. What does your dream postpartum look like or feel like? Elaborate without thinking too much, just let it out. Journal about what challenges you feel you have now to meet the kind of postpartum you want. What areas you're unsure of from the stories of others, from what you've heard. Which aspect of postpartum makes you nervous? And many such questions, if they come to you, things, if they come to you, make a list and then start working on it now in pregnancy itself. Reach out for help and build your support team now. It is the best time to do so, trust me, than fish for someone later in the thick of the situation. You deserve community support. My doors are always open for mamas. You can chat with me via a free discovery call. No pressure, even if you just want to share. If you are sure of needing a consult, yes, reach out to me, of course. So, this was a short and crisp episode on how you can make your postpartum better. Here's sending you tons of love. See you next.